This is Tara Parker, and I will be doing the sensorimotor integration techniques exam on Clay, my client. He's a 23-year-old male. He has a normal mechanism, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to say he has left side weakness and the right side is stronger for purposes of this video. First, I'm going to start with labial facilitation. So what I'm going to do here, Clay, is I'm going to apply pressure around your mouth to try and stimulate those muscles. You have a normal mechanism, but if someone were to have a hypertense mechanism, this stimulates those muscles, relaxes them. All right, I'm going to begin. I'm putting some pressure. Do you feel some stimulation around your mouth? What the purpose of this is trying to stimulate the orbicularis oris muscle. All right, now for labial inhibition, I'm going to do some taps in the same places. Great. So moving on, I'm going to use an ice finger. I'm going to attempt to elicit Clay to purse his lips. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to circle the ice finger around his mouth clockwise. And then I will start. So we're going to go around. You can see his lips naturally come forward and purse a little bit. Could you say ooh, shoo, two? So what this is doing is attempting to establish some functional motor patterns by preparing the structure to perform that outward pursing movement. All right, moving along, I'm going to attempt to elicit Clay to retract his lips. This time I'm going to go across your lips, okay, Clay, with the ice finger, and then do some strokes and round. So go 1, 2, 3. Feel free to wipe your mouth. Alright, can you smile for me? Smile. Can you say E? Me. Awesome. I'm going to do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. Alright, can you smile again? Smile. Awesome. So those lips are retracting after the stimulus is put on it. Alright, moving along. I'm going to stimulate unilateral weakness. If someone has a unilateral problem, we would want to stroke from the strong side to the weak side. So for Clay, this is stroke from the strong side to the weak side. I'm going to glide the swab around his lips clockwise, and then on the affected side, which is this side for Clay, I'm going to stroke outward. So I'm going to take a frozen swab. I'm going to go around a couple times. And so for this, we would want some carryover for the stronger side to carry over to the weaker side if Clay did not have a normal mechanism. Can you smile again? Say E, me. Awesome, thank you. All right, next we're going to do some thermal stimulation. So I'm going to get my flashlight. I'm going to stroke your fascial pillars, which are in the back of your mouth. Usually people don't really notice their fascial pillars unless they're sick and those tonsils are swollen. All right, I'm going to take a swab. Can you go forward for me, please? Open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you feel those like cold kind of stimulated? Yes. Awesome. Because Clay has a normal mechanism, I don't want to oversensitize him because I want to move on and perform other techniques. Next, moving along, I'm going to increase palatal reflex triggering. I'm looking for the lifting reflex. Ideally, I'm going to swab from the weaker side to the stronger side. So I'm going to swab this way. And what I'm looking for here is that palate to lift as I move the swab along his palate. So can you open, please? Yep, awesome. And that palate went upward when I stroked along. So that's looking awesome. Alright, I'm also going to increase that palatal reflex triggering. This time, I'm going to stroke along your palate. I'm going to go from the nasal spine downward, anterior to posterior. And what I'm going to do now is go weaker side, stronger side, then center. And I'm still looking for that palate to rise and trigger that reflex. So open. One, two, three. Awesome, and that palate was lifting, so that was being stimulated. All right, next I'm going to increase tongue base retraction. So now what I'm going to do, Clay, is I'm going to have you stick out your tongue, and I'm going to swab your the back of your tongue where your bitter taste buds are, and I'm going to go from your weaker side to your stronger side, so you're going to feel some pressure. I'm going to swab out my swab for a corner one. Yep, and that tongue base retracted when I did that, and he swallowed after, so that you could also infer that that will cause a swallowing reflex after that tongue base retraction. All right, also to increase tongue base retraction, what I can do is I'm going to hold on to the back of your tongue base through your neck, and I'm going to feel that where that hyoid bone and that tongue base meet. I'm going to glide the swab, and I'm going to watch for that tongue base to retract. Yep, and it went back, so that was stimulated to cause that reflex as well. All right, moving right along. All right, Clay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick out your tongue, or you're going to stick out your tongue, and I'm going to stroke down the middle of it. And what should happen now is, since those transverse muscles are being stimulated, the sides of your tongue should naturally just curl up. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So stick your tongue out a little bit. Yeah, and naturally those muscles that are stimulated are curling up on the side right there. Awesome job. All right, next, to reduce elevation in the posterior tongue, I'm going to do some strokes along your tongue, Clay. And I'm going to alternate, and the tongue base should automatically depress. I'm going to go ahead and start. So stick your tongue out. Go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. And I could feel that when I was doing that, his tongue base was retracting and going down a little bit. And depressing. All right, next I'm going to elongate and elevate the tongue tip. With this, I'm going to do some quick strokes on the sides of his tongue. We're focusing on those transverse muscles to help elongate the tongue, and at the end we hope to see the tongue tip lift up. All right, go ahead and stick your tongue out. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2. Yep, and that tongue tip lifted when I did that, so that's looking great. All right, also to elevate the tongue tip laterally, I can do the same thing. I'm going to glide along those lateral edges, and I will go ahead and do the tongue tip again. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Typically, if someone doesn't have an oral mechanism, you can hold some more pressure under that tongue to help elevate the tongue. But since Clay has a normal oral mechanism, he didn't really require too much pressure for that tongue tip to be held up. Next, we're going to elevate the tongue tip inferiorly. This is for clients that have more difficulty with the tongue tip elevation. And so what we can do is we can try to swipe on the underside of the tongue to encourage that tongue tip to rise upward. Can you stick your tongue out for me and lift up? 1. Can you touch your teeth? Yep, just like that. And we're stimulating the underside of the tongue to encourage that elevation of the tongue tip. All right, last, we're going to reduce lingual deviation on protrusion. Typically, if a client has experienced a CVA, their tongue will deviate to the stronger side when the tongue protrudes. So for Clay, that would be deviating to this side. For this, we're going to have you stick your tongue out. I'm going to go along the edges, diagonally around the tongue, and then upward. Awesome. Well, I think that is all we have for today. So thank you for being my client, and I really appreciate your help.